It is great to have you on this week's episode of ELIMU Nguvu. We are coming to you from KUTV, a new experience, and I'm your host, Corazon Safan. Did you know that in the near future, your child could only take 6 years in primary school, as opposed to the current ongoing 8-year system? What becomes of the learners who fail KCPE or even KCSE, and yet are immensely endowed with inborn talents? A curriculum is an important element of every education system all over the world. It makes or breaks the system. It is a prescribed course of study. It has both explicit elements and implicit elements within the same program. Explicit elements include subjects, the courses, the content within the courses, and the examinations. The implicit elements, on the other hand, arise from the school culture. Behaviors and attitudes adopted by the learners involved are some of the elements acquired from the organization of the school and the activities the learners willingly get involved in, like the extracurricular activities. In 1985, the former President Daniel Arap Moi introduced the 844 system, which is functional to date. The objective of 844 was to equip the learners with vocational skills right from the beginning of primary school. The Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development is set to reform the current curriculum to suit the present needs in the society and to reintroduce the initial objective of 844 system. Kenyans in the near future are coming to witness a curriculum that emphasizes on the learner's capabilities in talents, practical skills, and one that puts more emphasis on learning and creativity rather than examination. We sat down with the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development Director, Dr. Julius Juan, to shed some light on the current status of the 844 system and the upcoming curriculum reforms. Now, a curriculum is an essential component of any education system all over the world. A curriculum does not only determine the strength and the weakness of an education system, but it also lays down the structures under which the components are delivered. Information on curriculum development in Kenya, however, is something that has largely evaded the public. Well, today we have a chat with one man who is currently leading this institution from the helm, Dr. Julius Juan, to actually shed some light on the processes of laying out the curriculum. What exactly goes on? Who determines what goes on into the curriculum? It is a very, very good afternoon here at KUTV, and we appreciate the presence of Dr. Julius Juan. Karibu sana, daktari.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure, more than a pleasure. Probably begin by knowing who you are. What is your role and your mandate at KICD, and who are you?
I'm Julius Juan, as you've said. I'm the CEO, Director at Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. Now, the mandate of Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development is onefold. The key mandate of Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development is to develop curriculum for all levels of education in Kenya below the university. We also vet and approve any curriculum that is being offered in this country by any other organization, whether it is international curriculum, whether it's from another country, it must be approved. We also vet and approve all educational support materials that are used in the country, be it books or any other materials that you want to take to a school in this country. That must be approved by KICD.
So there is no private school or private college that actually has a curriculum that is not vetted by KICD?
Illegal. I mean, no country can allow any curriculum to be taught in its borders without approval. So we must vet all the curriculums, or curricula as they call it, that is taken in this country.
Very well. Now, after we have felt safe that everything that our learners are receiving is actually vetted and verified, who exactly determines what goes into the curricula, and how is it vetted so that it is approved?
Okay, that's a long process, but let's start with the first question. Who determines what goes into the curriculum? Now, curriculum development is a process. First of all, we start by conducting a needs assessment. It's kind of research. We do a survey, we ask Kenyans, various walks of life to tell us exactly what they want the education in this country to look like. After we've collected data from them, we sit down, we analyze it, and we capture the key issues that emerge from that information. We then go ahead and synthesize this into what we call curriculum designs. That is, we start deciding that we are going to have these specific subjects based on what Kenyans have said. You can call them learning areas, you can call them disciplines. In Kenya, we still call them subjects. Now, after we have decided that we are going to have these specific subjects, then we go to what we call design. When you are doing a design, then you are deciding that in this specific subject, at this specific level, this is the amount of time that a child can accommodate. This is the specific learning activity that is supposed to accompany it. This is the specific pedagogy that is supposed to go with it. And this is the material that is supposed to support it.
At the very research level, who is involved in the research? Do you go to the teachers, the learners, or administrators?
Like, for example, currently, well, maybe we'll come to that later, but we are undertaking a major curriculum reform in the country. We go to what we would consider key stakeholders: parents, teachers, students, educationists, professional bodies, everybody. Every Kenyan should be able to participate because every Kenyan has an interest in matters education, even non-Kenyans. Yeah. So we basically go to everybody. We categorize people into parents, teachers, unions, professional bodies, religious organizations, students, all of them.
They all contribute to the content they want within. And then you move to the design stage. And who takes part within the designing?
The design stage now is for the curriculum. Those are the professionals, the experts. The experts we have at KICD. At that level, they work with what we call the panels. In each subject area or discipline, we have panels. Now, panels are comprised of teachers, lecturers, and other experts in different subject areas. Now, these people will sit down with our experts. They look at what the Kenyans want. They look at the general societal trends. They look at the requirements, the world requirements, and then they sit down and then they synthesize and decide that now at this level, for example, in Standard 1, if you're teaching English, what amount of English do you teach? How do you teach it? For what length of time? What activity do they undertake to show that they have actually understood what they are learning? And then how do you assess it? Then now you say, if somebody moves to the next level, what then do they need to learn? So it's like, that is the time when we now look at the step-by-step acquisition of specific skills in every discipline.
All the way up to the assessment and promotion. It should be. I'm assuming that is somebody who has the responsibility that is really crucial. But then again, it has been successful because all over the world, our education system is perceived to be one of the strongest and the best education system. What are the factors or the aspects that you think make our education system to stand out?
Let me look at it in two ways. Basically, and that is why we want to reform the curriculum, our approach has been quite content-oriented. Our current curriculum is quite content-oriented. Our learners go through a lot of cognitive learning, cognitive matters. So in terms of content, in terms of rigor, we do a lot. And therefore, when we go and compete with others from the rest of the world, we are found to have a lot of cognitive attainment, in terms of learning. That gives us an edge.
Because you find theirs much easier, maybe.
Probably. But again, we'll discuss this when we are looking at the curriculum reform that we are going to undertake now. We have the low side of it, that we tended to, over time, have given a lot of emphasis on the cognitive element. Not so much the psychomotor, that is, the talents, and probably not so much, again, on matters affective, what we call emotional intelligence. And that is an area where we have not done very well. Another element is what we call identity and citizenship. If you look at the goals of education, the national goals of education, the first national goal of education, which is patriotism, national unity, nationalism, has always been there, but we didn't bother to operationalize it. We didn't think how we could implement it to achieve it within the school system. Those are some of the soft skills that probably, but to answer your question, yes, we do very well because we emphasize well on cognitive aspects of learning.
That brings me to the question I was planning to ask much later, but the current curriculum that we have, how do you think it has collectively covered every other ability in a child, the motor skills, for example?
And that is why we are having a major curriculum reform.
Because it does not cover as much.
Thank you. It's a curriculum reform and not a curriculum review. And we realize as a society that there have been lots of complaints about our learners cannot do this, our learners have not acquired enough values, our learners are not proud of who they are as Kenyans, etc., etc. So in our reform, one of the key issues that we are going to focus on is we have 4 components. One, we are going to reduce academic content for children in lower primary so that they focus on basic literacy, numeracy, and life skills. There are several other skills that they will acquire within those 3, but they're given a chance to remain children. That is a key component that is going to come in. Another thing that we are going to focus on is that we are changing from what we call objectives-based curriculum to what we refer to as competence-based curriculum. In competence-based curriculum, you focus on what somebody can demonstrate more than what they can reproduce.
Reproduce and replicate.
Yeah, like what they do in technical trainings. When you go to technical institutes, you demonstrate. If you can make a table, you do it and people see it. Another thing that is going to come with it is that we are going to change our assessment method.
Very well.
We are going to move away from assessment of learning to assessment for learning. That is, when you assess, you don't assess because you want to know how much somebody else knows, but you want to assess to identify that within the learning system, what is it that somebody has acquired and what is it that needs to be covered to reach a specific standard. So that is referred to as assessment for learning. And that is why I've kept telling people when you see people condemning NEC, that NEC is putting our children under pressure. It's not NEC, it's a whole system.
It's a whole system, very true.
They are demonstrating, they are assessing what they have been given by the curriculum. So that is going to change.
So this simply means then you're going to restructure the whole form of assessment. Examination is not going to be paper and pen anymore.
Curriculum
Reform.
Another component that we are going to introduce is we are going to introduce pathways. When you talk of pathways, we are talking about if somebody wants to do general education at a given level, they want to do their geography, their physics, their biology, they will go that way and proceed on. If somebody wants to go into talent, you want to do sports, you want to do art, you want to do comics, whatever you want to do drawing.
You're allowed to do it at...
It will be provided for fully, and it will not be seen as an alternative to somebody who has failed to achieve something. The next one is going to be the technical and vocational training. That is also going to be introduced within the school system. We used to have this at some stage. We used to have woodwork, we used to have metalwork, we used to have, call it home science, music, art. All this is going to be introduced so that, again, somebody goes on with what they feel they're interested in and they are supported to achieve it and what they have in talent in. But above that, we are still going to have what we call basic benchmarks. If you want to be a runner, we'll support you to do your running in school, but we'll still give you a basic education so that you're able to communicate. You can deal with numeracy. You can deal with skills like financial literacy. When you earn a lot of money from football and you earn a lot of money from running, we give you training on how you can manage it. So as we talk now, for example, we have already developed a course on financial literacy. I don't want to spend so much time on this, but...
Go on, actually, this is the line we wanted to take.
Maybe you do watch football. Yes. If you do, then you've heard of what they call football academies, for example.
Yes, in other countries, and it is just fledgling.
Thank you. Now, when you look at somebody like Messi, for those who know, probably he joined Barcelona when he was 8 years old. it is clear that in those countries, basic education is compulsory. Now, when they go to those academics, they still have the normal education that any other child in that country has. Then they have life skills to learn how to live with people from diverse backgrounds, because you'll be interacting with people from all over the world. Then they're given skills on how to manage their finances, so that when you start earning so much money like Ronaldo, you don't just throw it all over. You have a foundation, you can do business, and you know, you manage, you know what to do with it.
Still pay attention on your...
You still have your academics, and you know how to communicate. Then at the far end, you have the talent. You're doing your football. Once you acquire certain given standards of those other skills, then now you go on and do your football. But
just to retrace the reintroduction of arts and talent into schools, then confirms that it wasn't such a bright idea to scrap off art and craft and music and all these other courses from primary schools at the time that it was done.
I think I won't say it was a bad idea as such.
But the result has not been.
What I would say is that probably it was not properly conceptualized. You know, unfortunately, these things are academic and we have issues of philosophy and all that, but I don't want to go into that. We had to conceptualize what philosophy was driving the introduction of those subjects. Like now, when you say you want to go competence-based curriculum, then it comes as a package. That means we know how we are going to assess it, because you realize that we brought these specific subjects and pasted them within a curriculum that was objectives-based. So you bring them, but you're not sure how you want to test them. You are not sure how you want to assess them. So you start fumbling, how do we then deal with these subjects within an overloaded curriculum? Therefore, at some stage, people decide, no, our children are overloaded. So what do we drop? Let's drop this, so that they still have time to learn this. That has to change. So that package, it must come as a whole philosophy. That's exactly what we want to do now.
And I'm sure the viewer at home just wants this clarification that the reformation of the curriculum is actually going to happen soon, and it's not a fantasy, because for a long time, Kenyans have dreamt of such a system, and that coming back is it's some good news for Kenyans.
Actually, to be very specific, we have had a lot of work that has been done on this. I've been in KICD for 1 year, and that last 1 year, we have been laying foundation for this. We've had lots of training on what exactly that it means to undertake a competence-based curriculum. We have had lots of training on various types of talents and how this is embedded within the curriculum. 2 weeks ago, we had a whole team that came from the International Bureau of Education, you know, as an agent of UNESCO that deals with the curriculum, just to take our people through how this has been implemented in other countries, and we've got a lot of support from other people. But to cut a long story short, we were supposed to launch this on the 8th of December. But because of change, you know, we had a new cabinet secretary come in, and Professor Kaimenyi leave. We had to put it on hold and engage with the new cabinet secretary so that he understands where we are coming from and where we are going to. And as I talk now, it's going to be a big launch, you know, probably by the president or the deputy president, or, you know. So lots of work has gone on, and therefore this is not a mirage.
It's definitely coming.
I mean, we have money allocated to us, you know, in this budget for curriculum reform. This was not there, you know, in the previous years, but this time we have the money. So the journey has started.
So it has just begun. And just in a minute, because I'm told we have a minute to wind up, how relevant is the curriculum that we have currently, and how what are the deliberate attempts to make the one that is coming more relevant?
You can hardly call a curriculum irrelevant, because there will always be lots of good things, but you can always make it better. So our curriculum is not irrelevant, but it can be better.
It should be updated definitely to capture everything that has been introduced over the years.
According to the prescription by UNESCO, we should be reviewing our curriculum every 5 years. But in countries like South Korea, they don't wait for the 5 years. You should constantly be doing research in each subject area and improving it almost on a year-to-year basis.
So that it is always updated.
That is what the world is doing now.
We have to go for a short break. Thank you very much for keeping it KUTV. We are going for a short break, but when we come back, we take a look at the specialization question that has disturbed very many Kenyans. Just at what age and what is the best stage to specialize and choose subjects, and how is KICD involved in that? Keep it right here. We'll be right back.